His record is respected in Washington. Jimmy Duncan sends his congratulations. He's so pleased that you're going to be back there with him, and I know you're going to be a great congressman, remembering us and leading in Washington. Thank you for coming this morning.
Okay, thank you, Maxine, and welcome everybody. Morning, Your Honor. Everybody come on in. This is great. I was just told by this fine gentleman here, he says, gosh, whatever you're doing in Anderson County, just keep it up. And I said, well, I'm going to do that in McMinn County as well, because it's a privilege and honor to be your congressman. And what we've done in all of our 11 counties that we represent now is we go back there time and time and time again, and we work tirelessly. I got the nickname in Congress from one of our members. It wasn't the most glamorous nickname. It was called the Grinder. And he said, well, gosh, you just get in there and you grind and you work and you work and you work. Buddy, I appreciate Buddy taking me around Athens and McMinn County today. This is a great county. I opened up the newspaper today, and what did I see? 25 more jobs coming, auto jobs. And Mayor Gentry, you're doing a great, great job. And to our commissioners here, I can't say in any of my other counties that it's totally debt-free. I can say that in McMinn County. That's the kind of great local government y'all have. You've got great state government, and you've had an outstanding congressman in Jimmy Duncan for a long time. And I look forward to being a congressman for the entire county. Athens is a great city. In my earlier life, I spent a lot of time right here when I practiced law. I'd come up here just about every month and see Judge Watson, and just a wonderful, wonderful community. The square here in Athens is just a tremendous place, and there's just a lot of potential here. Now, I know, like many counties in Tennessee, there have been some challenges. I know we've lost some jobs over time, but guess what? They're coming back, and they're coming back because Tennessee is a great place to do business, and McMinn County is a great place to do business. A little bit about me. I've been a congressman, so I know the job. I'm not a 20-year veteran. I've been there a term. Chip Saltzman's my chief of staff. Bob White is here somewhere with us. He's worked in my field office. We work tirelessly. We have a Washington, D.C. office, and as you all know, I like to vote. I like to be there and work on legislation and do that. But one of my favorite things to do is to get out in my counties, meet the local leaders, meet the constituents, and just work tirelessly to get the job done. One of the commitments I made, and I keep my promises when I run, is to keep an office open in McMinn County. And I think that's very, very important. It's critically important, and we look forward to doing that and working with Mayor Gentry and all of the great municipalities in McMinn County. But it's just an honor to be here. I'm looking forward to being your congressman, and the new 3rd District is outstanding. We've got Hamilton County, Bradley County in the south, you all in Anderson County in the middle. We've got some wonderful counties to the north of us that have some real economic challenges, but we can all grow and benefit from one another. 11 great counties, and I'm just privileged to be here. With that, I'd like to open up to any questions. If anybody has any questions about what we're doing, we're looking forward to a great race in November, of course, but just going to be great to be your congressman.
Maxine, we're going to be taking resumes for the McMinn County office, so if you have any suggestions, please let us know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chip Saltzman.
Well done, well done. And I do want to say, every time I have come here as a congressman, Maxine has just treated me like royalty. The entire community, whether it's going to visit Tennessee Westland, I've been so welcomed here, and I thank you for your hospitality.
There was great excitement and appreciation of your coming for your visit to our county. And I might mention to all of us, he's already been up here since the primary. This is his 2nd trip into this courthouse and circulating, speaking to people, speaking to our mayor, making contacts in town. You've shown such great interest, and we really respect your leadership, and we're honored to have you today.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
What do we need to know about Paul Ryan, your colleague?
Okay, that's a great question. Well, I'm excited about the ticket, and Paul Ryan is just a good guy. Paul Ryan is like us, regular people. You can sit down and talk with Paul Ryan. He's brilliant on the budget. I was a proud supporter of the Ryan budget 2 times, and you can speak with him. We are friends, and We go to dinner every once in a while, usually in a group, and he's very, very accessible, but he's a good guy. And we kind of dress alike. He's a little bit taller than me, but everybody is. That's all right. But he's added some excitement to the ticket. But on the fiscal, budgetary side, I know I'm preaching to the choir when I'm preaching to McMinn County that has no debt. But the big issue, I was speaking with Senator Corcoran just the other day, the big issue facing our entire congressional generation is the debt. It's going to continue to be the debt. And unless we get our fiscal house in order, and we need that kind of leadership in the executive branch, and I think Paul Ryan will be a great asset to the ticket and help us get our fiscal house in order. He gets it.
Congressman, will you vote to overturn Obamacare if you get an opportunity to do so?
I have voted 32 times to do so, and I intend to continue to do so, to overturn and defund it. We've had some successes. The 1099 situation, where we actually got that repealed. Obamacare is a problem. I was very, very disheartened and disappointed with the United States Supreme Court ruling. They couldn't get there through the Commerce Clause, so they called it a tax. Well, in reality, it's 21 new taxes. We can't afford it. It's not good law. It's not good policy. It's going to put burdens on states. It's not going to do what we really needed in this country, and that's real health care reform. And that was going to have tort reform. It was going to have health insurance savings accounts. It was going to have input from the doctors, like good Dr. Gurnett and folks like that who have to actually live with that every day. It's a problem. So we're going to have to continue to fight that good fight. But really, that fight rests with the American people. We've got to change it at the top of the ticket. We've got to get a majority in the Senate. And we need to return people like myself back to Congress who, when given the opportunity to repeal. That was actually my very first vote in Congress, was to vote to repeal Obamacare. But we can't give up on that, because that law will literally break us. It's not working, and it's going to be fiscally disastrous. Yes, ma'am.
Congressman Fleischmann, do you think the Republican Party will have some sort of plan, just a direct plan like talking points, or a 12-point plan, for example, maybe that's announced after the convention to tell citizens what their idea of a health care plan would look like?
Yes.
Will they articulate that?
Well, and actually we have had that already, but we need to do a little bit better job, I think, of messaging. Unfortunately, the president is a very, very good communicator, and he's communicating something that is bad for the American people, and that would be Obamacare. There were doctors who went to see the president before Obamacare was passed. They sat down with him. They said, "Mr. President, look at our input." He didn't want that. So I think the answer is yes. We have ideas already in place to get real health care reform in this country. But the biggest impediment now is we are facing a law that is on the books, that is a disaster, and that the highest court in the land says it's okay. So we've got to really make sure that we get the numbers in the legislature, in the Senate and in the House, and we've got to change the White House so we can get rid of that and then start anew and get real health care reform.
Senator McCullough outlines a plan. He has specific points he talks about. I just think it would be great if we could expand on that a little bit and say this is an alternative if we repeal Obamacare, because I know some people are very concerned if we don't have anything. Some people say, well, but we need something out there that we can understand as to what the change would be.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Congressman, we're working very hard to establish a small business incubator here. Mayor Gentry's helped lead that charge and done a commendable job. We've been through all the feasibility studies, everything that we're supposed to do. We're down to selecting a business and needing some funding. Oh, excuse me. And I just saw from your name tag you're on small business development. But we would appreciate any support you could give us through ARC. John's already applied for one grant, and anything that you all can do to help us get this established, we would certainly appreciate it.
Well, and thank you for asking about that. Our small business incubator in Chattanooga has been a huge, huge success. And as you all know, our local leaders have made a concerted effort But this started years and years ago, really with Chip's dad, starting with getting an exited Volkswagen, what, 15, 16 years ago? Before there was a Volkswagen, but before there was an exit there. This takes planning, but I'm glad you're wanting to do that. Our small business incubator has done some tremendous things. It starts the businesses, allows them a couple of years to get ready, and then they go out in the community. And what I would suggest doing, and maybe this is where, as a congressman, I can bring people together. We can share ideas, because I'm sure the folks in Hamilton County, whether it's our Chamber of Commerce, our small business incubator, can share their successes with you all and share the failures. But we've got a wonderful small business incubator. There's one, I think, in Bradley County as well that has done exceedingly well. And I have actually visited these businesses. One young lady started a soap business, and now she's selling soap all over the country.
She's from McMinn.
Yeah, she's from McMinn County.
So we'll work on that together. I'm excited about that.
Have you done, with the RC application, it's been filed?
It's pre-app.
Has it been scored? Oh, it's
No,
pre-app,
pre-app.
okay, all right. And I'm sure Maxine's got the paperwork, but if y'all keep us when it gets scored and gets rated, let us know.
I'd like to tell one little personal story. John and I, early on in the primary election, went to Oak Ridge to the Lincoln Day dinner. Senator Lamar Alexander was speaking. Senator Lamar Alexander expressed such respect for Congressman Fleischmann's work in Congress. And of course this was being held in Oak Ridge, where Congressman Fleischmann had, I believe they said, been there 55 times, and on that day had been throwing pizzas at Big Ed's Pizza Parlor. In other words, he is so connected with his district. I was tremendously impressed with that, and his votes, over 1,000 you have been present on your votes, and Oak Ridge, of course, is so cutting edge in so much that happens in our nation, actually, and possibly in the world. And they are so proud of the leadership of Congressman Fleischmann. I can honestly tell you, the chairman of the Republican Party, everyone, there was such an appreciation of your leadership and what you have done to stand behind them in their growth and development. And I just wanted to share that that's
Thank you.
something we witnessed.
Well, and I appreciate that, Maxine. I love to get into all of our counties, and we have some very, very rural counties in the district. I mean, I love to go over to Polk County and work at the feed and seed. I do Chuck on the jobs, and we'll get one in McMinn County very, very soon. Well, I actually go out and maybe milk a cow. I don't know.
We'll have to find a place to do that.
But that's what I love, because think about it, we're all Tennesseans, and that's really something. We're all Americans, but I think as Tennesseans, it's really, really something special. We have a state that is in far better shape than many of the other states in the Union, and I attribute that to good government, great local government, great state government. And we have our problems federally, there's no question, but every county is unique, and that's what's great about it. So when I'm in Scott County, Oneida, Huntsville, either talking with Senator Baker and getting his wisdom, it's just wonderful to get that. There's oil and coal and natural gas up in the north, but Maxine, you're right, what we do in Oak Ridge is just incredible as well. But in my first 2 years, I've had to learn that and work with that, and McMinn County is every bit as special. You've got great cities, you've got some great unincorporated areas. I remember when I was practicing law, for whatever reason, I ended up in Riceville a lot, and it was just one. I think they got a trout farm down there, so which I want to visit. Maybe I'll catch some fish. But it's a great county, and I'm going to be here an awful lot. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
May I go back to Obamacare?
Sure.
And this question comes from questions I receive from people that I'm involved with that are of limited means. And when it was classified as a tax, does this, and I'm going to use a word that may be wrong, does this mean that it will be prorated according to income? And it's very possible that there will be a level at which a citizen will not have to pay this tax if they do not secure health care? I'm having trouble understanding.
Sure. The issue of the tax was the High Court was grappling with the question as to whether or not this law was constitutional or not. Now, I believed then and I believe now that it was unconstitutional. But as a constitutionalist, I sit in the legislative branch, not in the judiciary, so I didn't have a vote in that regard. When I had the chance to vote, I voted to repeal, repeal, repeal. But the court basically's holding basically affirmed the law, calling it a tax. In reality, it's 21 new taxes, and it's going to cost a lot of money. So it's bad enough, but it's 21 separate taxes. For example, there's a medical device tax, which I think will actually hurt manufacturers in America, even right here in East Tennessee, where there's a 3.5% medical device tax. Now, I'm a co-sponsor of a bill to repeal that tax, to get rid of that, but it's tax after tax. So the only honest answer to your question is we don't know. If this law is left out there, the cost, the sheer cost of this program, we know is going to far exceed what President Obama originally said and what Reid and Pelosi said. It's going through the roof. The tax issue that they used was just to basically say, we'll call it a tax to say it's constitutional. That's how they got there. I disagree with that, but that was their rhetoric.
The Republicans don't seem to be, broadcasting that, what you're saying, because, Obama's out there talking about the tax the wealthy to the middle class. That's all, they want to tax them, and here, this is the biggest tax ever. I think that needs to be more publicized.
Well, and the thing that is most evident that I have learned in Congress, I knew we had a spending problem when we went to Congress, but getting there and actually seeing it there, working with Paul Ryan, it is going off the books. The spending problem, the debt problem is astronomical. And for the president or anybody in public office to suggest that we have a revenue problem is disingenuous. It cannot be fixed by taxation. That's a farce. The Democrats know it. The Republicans know it. We've got to get our spending under control. And they tried to say, well, gosh, if we could just raise taxes here or there. That's a farce. It's wrong and it's disingenuous. And it's leading the American people down the wrong path. And I hear that a lot out there. Well, if you just cut this or just cut that in terms of congressional pay, it's your mandatory spending programs that are just driving the deficit, and we've got to do something. But I have time and time again voted to keep taxes low. I think that's very, very important, especially right now. We're trying to get America back to work. The worst thing we can do is raise taxes.
Is there any talk about doing away with the Department of Education? That was kind of a big issue in the 80s. And it's just nothing but grown sense. And energy, too, for that matter.
Well, the growth of government at all levels has got to be curtailed. You pick a government agency, and as long as it continues to grow and grow and grow, it's going to be part of the problem. I think what we need to do is streamline government and get it out of our lives as much as possible. We can't run our families without a budget. Our state, our county is run with a budget. And you'd like to do more, but you do what you can within your means. Washington doesn't work that way. Now, a great step in the right direction really was getting rid of earmarks, because I went through a very, very difficult budget process where there were no earmarks. And it was a good thing, because guess what? There was no horse trading. The way they used to do it is A and B would disagree, so A would say, you earmark here, B you earmark here, and we'll both go away happy. Unfortunately, the American taxpayer got the bill for that. So we're making strides, but we've got to go a lot further. I actually have a bill out there called the Freeze Government Spending Act of 2012. What it does on the discretionary side, it cuts spending to pre-Obama levels and then freezes it for 10 years. This is the kind of talk we need to have in rooms like this all across America. But I think you're right. We've got to get that message out more to the American people, because they're not hearing that.
What do you think of the possibility of the Senate taking, Republicans taking the Senate?
I think we have a good chance. I hope we get that, because if we don't get there and we don't pick up the Senate, we're going to be stuck with Obamacare, and we're going to be stuck with bills, with laws like Dodd-Frank. If we can get the Senate back and get the White House, I feel very, very comfortable we're going to keep a good majority in the House, me included, I hope. But we need to get that. That's a critical piece of the puzzle. As bad as President Obama is, and he is, Harry Reid is every bit as obstructionist. We send over 30 jobs bills to him. What does he do? He doesn't even let them come to a vote. but when he wants to position something for political gain for the White House, he'll do that. And it's a problem. And the rules of the Senate are a problem. And he has done it masterfully, but to the detriment of the American people. There's no question.
I'd like to mention something. As a small businessman, I'm speaking for several of us in here, I was wondering the other day, I just sitting there on the couch and I said, I wonder how many people have their hand in my pocket, in my paycheck, in order to keep my business running. And I made a list. I was flabbergasted when I got done with the list. How many people have their hand in my payroll, and in order for me to conduct business. And if we can figure out a way where everybody's not taking our money, we could actually get some cash for the White House.
Well, I'm with you, and I had a small business for 24 years. I believe, and I have voted this way, that when given the opportunity, if I can leave the money in the hands of the people of the United States and Tennessee and McMinn County, I'm going to do that and keep it out of the hands of Washington bureaucrats and out of government. Because I think you all know how to spend your money more wisely, how to create real jobs, but it's the taxes, it's the regulations, these burdensome regulations. Many times these regulations are tantamount to a tax because of the cost to comply. And it's just killing American business. And I want to make it, we've got to get our corporate tax rates lower. And we've got the highest corporate tax rate in the world. That's just unacceptable. We want companies to come to America, make America their headquarters, hire Americans, and given the opportunity, we can get this country great again. There's an economic boom that we could see if we could keep regulations lower, taxes lower, and just let American entrepreneurs do what they've done best for 2 centuries, we'll be okay. But if the federal government keeps coming in and keeping a hand on them, it's just not going to work. And unfortunately, this administration just doesn't get it. They don't get it. They don't understand free enterprise. They don't cherish free enterprise. And the president's honest about it with his rhetoric. He's just wrong. He's honest, but he's wrong.
Congressman, your thoughts on the future of Social Security?
Social Security is something that we all pay in. As a business owner, I paid in on both sides. Many of you all have done that. It's something that our senior citizens have paid in, and it's something that we need to make sure, and I have voted to keep that safe for our senior citizens. And we don't need to scare senior citizens. When we went through that budget crisis, when I first went to Congress, I think it was horrible that the President of the United States said, well, maybe I'll just withhold senior citizens' Social Security tax. We don't need to do that, and that should be off the table. What we're going to have to do is look at all of the mandatory spending programs, look at reasonable reforms to preserve these. But people 55 and over who've paid in, who are dependent, like my dad, he's 87 years old, he gets a small Social Security check, he's DAV of World War II, he gets a small VA check. We don't need to scare our seniors, we need to cherish our seniors, but the key is going to be reform to preserve. Well, great. Thank you for coming out. Rarely do I get a great crowd like this to come out early on a morning like this, and I will be back a lot. You'll find us to be accessible. If you're up in Washington, we're on the 5th floor Cannon. We've got a great office. Every once in a while we cook ribs out. That's not my forte. But that's a friendly place for you all to visit. If you want to come by and leave your bag there while you travel around Washington, that's great. We're here for you. We're here for you in Washington, but we look forward to being a great presence and a great servant to the people of McMinn County right here in this office.